Good morning, everybody, and happy Halloween. Now, it's dark days like this that always get me thinking about dark times in history, and I personally believe that assassination attempts on our presidents are always dark times. Now, throughout U.S. history, there have been 20 publicized assassination attempts, 4 of which were successful. Of course, it's generally only the successful assassinations that are in the news and remembered throughout generations. Therefore, I'd like to take a little time and highlight and delve into 2 different interesting assassination attempts on U.S. presidents, Theodore Roosevelt and Andrew Jackson. Theodore Roosevelt's assassin was a psychopathic man named John Schrank, who was the owner of a local saloon. However, he didn't have any previous grievances against President Roosevelt until he had a dream one night. In his dream, John Schrank claimed that he went to the site of President McKinley's grave, who, having been the victim of an assassination, allowed Roosevelt to gain the office of president. Schrank said that, while there, McKinley's ghost came to him and told him to kill Roosevelt in order to avenge his death. However, Roosevelt wasn't involved in McKinley's death, but nonetheless, this was all the information Schrank needed. So on October 14, 1912, while in his presidential election campaign, Roosevelt took a moment to wave at the crowd. This was the moment that Schrank had been planning for more than 3 weeks. He shot him at close range with his revolver and was consequently tackled and arrested. Roosevelt, on the other hand, was fine. Although the bullet had become lodged in his chest due to his 80-page speech and steel glasses case, the bullet was slowed enough to not penetrate any vital organs. Having been on his way to a vital campaign speech, Roosevelt opted to give the speech anyway. Friends, I shall ask you to be as quiet as possible. I don't know whether you fully understand that I have just been shot, but it takes more than that to kill a bull moose. But fortunately, I had my manuscript, so you see I was going to make a long speech, and there's a bullet. There's where the bullet went through, and it probably saved me from it going into my heart. The bullet is in me now, so that I cannot make a very long speech, but I will try my best. And he did. He spoke for more than 80 minutes until he allowed them to take him to a hospital for examination. They later discovered that the bullet hadn't affected anything vital and therefore opted to leave it in. Roosevelt would have that bullet in his chest for the rest of his life. Andrew Jackson's assassin was a man by the name of Richard Lawrence, who was clearly psychopathic. Richard Lawrence worked as a house painter, but thoroughly believed he was the King of England, and he wore a cape everywhere he went. However, soon people began to question what the King of England was doing painting houses, to which he responded it was because the government owed him money. And more precisely, Andrew Jackson owed him money, and apparently the only way to deal with the situation was to kill Andrew Jackson. Soon, while leaving the funeral of South Carolina Representative Warren R. Davis at the Capitol building, Lawrence was waiting for Jackson. Lawrence used 2 different pistols to shoot Jackson, but neither wounded him. In fact, it is assumed that they both misfired. Quickly, Jackson began beating Lawrence with his cane until he was stopped, and Lawrence was arrested and taken away. It is believed that this was the first attempt to kill a sitting president of the United States of America. Ultimately, both assassins ended up in a mental institution and were declared mentally insane like many other presidential assassins in our nation's history. Although there are still 14 assassination attempts we haven't covered today, we hope you learned a little bit more about 2 interesting assassination attempts on U.S. presidents.